Hello, this is Uplift with Tracy Ann Owens. It's our very first episode here, and I have one of my very good friends, Martha, with me. Hi, Martha.
Hi.
We're a little nervous since this is our very first podcast, but we have a lot in common and some really exciting stories regarding mental health and psych wards and all that good stuff. And we believe that sharing these stories can help other people. Am I correct?
This is correct. We believe that if you tell your story, it can help others, maybe give them advice on how to get through what they're going through, like maybe knowing your rights or
Just knowing you're not alone.
Yes.
And that other people go through these things too. Because I think a lot of people do bottle them up and hide them because they're embarrassed. And society tells them, this stuff isn't normal, so you shouldn't talk about it.
And society is also very judgmental too. And I mean, anybody that's been to a psych ward knows if there's a mean nurse, you know what a mean nurse is, because there's a lot of them out there. And they're just looking at us and judging us and figuring out a way how they can medicate us correctly. And sometimes I feel like that's all a scam too, though, because they just want the insurance claims or whatever they call it. But I wish that there was better healthcare proxies out there, for example, too. I wish there was more knowledgeable people and people that actually want to help people rather than just getting whatever they can for themselves out of the deal, which is sadly a lot of people's persona nowadays, because we live in a selfish world. And that's why we have to speak up and tell people how we do care for others and we want them to succeed, and we don't want them to feel alone or scared or in a dark spot. We want them to be able to overcome that feeling safely, happily, in a good way, so that way they can proceed in life in a good direction.
That is beautiful. Oh, I love that. Nice. Nicely said, Martha. Wow. So let people get to know you a little bit, do you have, what's some of your good childhood memories?
So I grew up on a farm, and I had a farm down the road that I worked at when I was 15. But growing up was great for the fact of I had the woods to roam. I had the animals to take care of. I had a lot of stuff to do to keep busy. But recently in my adult life, I came to the conclusion that my younger years weren't so great. And it was very disheartening. It put me in a psychosis. It just scared the crap out of me. And I ended up driving for 20 hours straight, not knowing where I was going, because I was scared to death, thinking I was so alone, and I just had to drive to the freaking moon or sun to get the heck out of the place, which isn't reality. And that's the other thing we have to let people know, is that there's fantasy and there's reality. And we have to be in the present moment. We have to be in reality. Because if we start getting in our head too much and playing these fantasy games, we're not going to succeed in life. And what is our goal? Our goal is to succeed.
Right. Well, so you're saying in your adult, you started analyzing kind of your childhood and you started realizing some things started bubbling up to the surface that you had repressed for a long time. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Memories came up that weren't there before. And anybody that has PTSD can relate to that. Bad things happen sometimes, and we have to learn to overcome them. And sometimes the people that are supposed to love us the most will hurt us, and that's because like I said, we live in a selfish world where people are just selfish and want what they want, and they'll even put a child, in place where
in danger,
neglect, torture, it's just whatever satisfies them is what people usually do. That's why we have to try to be good people and know the Lord, for one, too, because He is our light and He is going to show us out of the darkness. And the only way we're going to be able to get through it is with Him and Jesus and the Holy Spirit guiding us.
did you have faith prior to this awakening that you had where all these memories started coming up, or is this a new thing where you've come to realize that the Lord is helping you through this stuff?
I've always had faith in God ever since a child. There's a story as a child. Okay, when I was a child, I brought the Bible into elementary school and was trying to teach my friend about Jesus, and I got in trouble for it by her mother. Not the school, but the mother was offended. So I've always had faith, even as a young child, but it's easy to slip in and out of faith. It's easy to let the dark overcome you sometimes, and it's easy to see those demons and let those demons win. And until we wake up and have a reality check, sometimes we can't get out of it. Sometimes people talking to you, trying to get you out of it, won't get you anywhere because you're not ready for it. So sometimes what happens is you go to the psych ward because they don't know what to do with you, so they send you there. And sometimes there's just evil people in there, and it's a scary place to begin with, and there's nobody there to comfort you, just people there to make you feel out of place. And it's a very disheartening place. But I will say there are better ones than others, and the only way they're going to get better is if we help them understand that we're not just guinea pigs. We're not just people with problems. We are just going through something in life because everybody goes through their own shit. Some people wear it on their sleeve. Some people hide it very well. Just because we wear it on our sleeves doesn't mean that we should be looked at differently.
Wow. Definitely. Like for the people working there, realizing we are going through something and to have that empathy and to realize we are still human, for sure. Do you want to tell a little bit about your psych ward experience? So you're driving to get away. You are experiencing a psychosis. You realize all these things from your past that you've never dealt with before, and now you're freaking out. So you're trying to run away from these problems, right?
Yeah.
So what happens?
So as I was en route, my head was not right. We all, some of us have been there, some of us haven't been there. But for those that have been there, your mind can play tricks on you, and you can think people are after you. You can look at somebody and think, oh shit, they're gonna try to kill me, because you're just so scared and you're so terrified, and you just don't know what is where and when, and you just try to get through it. But anyway, so I'm driving and I think everybody's after me, and it starts to snow out. I looked at my time as long as I've been driving, because I had my nice car back then, my little Subaru Crosstrek, little 5-speed. Anyway, it said I was driving for 20 hours straight, so I pulled into this station, which I didn't realize there was a state trooper barracks right there. But I stopped, I saw the plow guy, and I literally thought as soon as I got back on the road I was going to die. I can't drive anymore. So my mother called me. So I answered the phone, and she says, well, go to the state trooper barracks right there. And so I went in, and I was just terrified. I just didn't know where to go. I didn't know where I was going. I was just waiting for something to happen, and nothing was going to be there. So I was feeding into this fantasy thing, and it wasn't real. So I walked in there, and I was delirious, obviously. Something was wrong with me. So they ended up taking me to St. Mary's Hospital in Amsterdam, because that's where I ended up, was in Amsterdam, New York. So I get to the hospital. They take my dog away, because I had my dog in my car. They put me in a room, and I'm scared to death, thinking they're trying to kill me. So the nurse I got was just so mean. She was just not nice. She was like, so what are you doing? And I was just so scared. I was like, oh, I'm trying to get away. I'm scared. And so she was like, well, you must be hungry. So they brought me this raw hamburger from the cafeteria while she ordered a freaking delicious gourmet burger eating in front of me. So in my head at that moment in time, I'm like, they're trying to poison me. They're trying to kill me. I need to get out. I need to run away. I'm scared. I need to flee. Flight or flee. I'm clearly a flea. So I run out of there, and they ended up tackling me down. And then they put me in restraints, which if you ever go to a psych ward, you have the option of a padded room or restraints. They can't just put you in restraints. So make sure you say, no, I want a padded room. or something, because they then put a needle in my ass and put me the fuck out. I woke up the next morning not knowing anything. Actually, I think it was a few days I was out.
Yes, that happens when they
I
give
think it was
you
a few days.
when they give you that shot in the buttocks. You can lose total days. That happened to me.
Yeah.
Where you have no recollection, yet you're still like awake and doing things, but you're like a zombie, literally.
And they don't ask anybody if they can do that. They just do it, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I had once begged them not to give it to me. This isn't my podcast, but so I'm not
your experience, girl.
I'm not gonna go into full detail, but there was I had asked for a Klonopin, and it takes so long for them to give it to you because they have to get doctor's approval and stuff. Well, a half an hour goes by, and I had asked multiple times, please, can I have this Klonopin? I was getting more and more anxious. They had taken me away from my daughter, and she was just born. I was having like some manic symptoms. I needed to get back on my medications. Well, after 45 minutes, I go up to the nurse's station and I bang my fist and I said, I asked for a Klonopin 45 minutes ago. And because I banged my fist on the counter, I guess, they started expediting things. But I went to my room and I got out my Bible and I started calming myself down, reading my Bible. And honestly, by the time the nurses came into my room, my whole excitement of everything I was already calmed down. There was no
They didn't
anxiety.
talk to you? They didn't say, how are you feeling now?
Nope. So they come into the room and they said, all right, here's your medication. And it was a shot. It wasn't my Klonopin. They said, this is what you need to take this medicine. I'm like, I just asked for a Klonopin. That's all I wanted an hour ago.
Yeah.
Like, please don't give that to me. And they're like, nope, doctor's orders.
To put chemicals in your body that you don't agree with is such a violating experience.
It was so violating. They pulled my pants down, put it, gave me a shot, and there was no problem at that point. I had already calmed down. I was reading my Bible. Everything was calm. But because I slammed my fist and got angry for a second, which is natural. People get angry,
Yeah.
but I didn't hurt anybody, nothing. And then they forced that medication into
Yeah.
me. And then I lost days because of
Bullshit.
it.
Yeah, my sister came and visited me, and I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
I could have went home with her that night if I was in the right state of mind, but I
For
couldn't.
sure.
I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, they sedate you so badly that you become a zombie. And it's so they can control you, I guess, because you're just...
Well, it's the medication they've given you, I bet you, is like... I know this is like conspiracy theory here, but...
Go ahead.
Okay. It's probably on the bill. You know what I mean? Like, insurance company says, okay, give this much out, and we'll pay you this much. You know what I mean? It's probably something money-wise has to deal with it. I bet you. Because
could be.
everything boils down to who's getting what in whose pocket.
It very well could be. And it could just be that's how they deal with the mental patients at this time. If they think they're out of control, then they just, instead of...
But one person thinking something's out of control and another person, you know what I mean?
It was not right, because obviously if they had just talked to me, they would have known I was okay. But because the doctor ordered it, because the nurses said I was...
There's just mean
irrational.
nurses. It boils
Yes.
down to mean
I
nurses.
think it was the nurses. They're like, oh, this girl is losing it out of
Let's
control.
make her day worse because I'm a miserable person to begin with. That's how it works.
Yeah, I've had multiple psych ward experiences like that. And you said you did too, right?
Oh yeah, I've been to 3 psych wards, but I'm just glad I am where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And I guess I had to go through that to get where I'm at, but I wish it could have been done differently because, you're locked in a building. You can't have a phone. If you smoke, you can't smoke, which is taking away your right as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of things that are messed up with it, and I hope it can change one day so that way people can actually get better. Because if people out there actually gave a crap and actually put their heart into their job and actually wanted to do well, then people wouldn't have such problems because it's just living in a happy world. But we can't have that because there's just so much negativity and hatred in this world now that it's just never going to get there.
Well, there's a lot of good people too. And now that we're talking about it, say there's people at the psych wards that want to make positive change, that want to treat their patients right, but they don't know how to do it. What would you say they can change? What can they do?
Know that the person you might be talking to is just scared and alone.
Scared and alone. And be more comforting.
Put yourself in their shoes. Ask them, how are you doing today? Can we get you anything?
That's simple, isn't it?
That's simple.
Treat them human. Mm-hmm.
Would you like to make a phone call? Is there anybody you could call? You know, like, just simple human being niceness.
I agree with that. Yeah. And you mentioned a little bit, you are so happy where you came from, that you went through these experiences. They were rough and tough and it was hard to go through, but you feel like you learned a lot from them. What would you say you've learned, and how people can maybe prevent themselves from even ever going to the mental hospital? What would you talk about with that?
No, you're not alone. Make sure that you reach out when you need the help. You know, don't isolate yourself. Obviously, don't do drugs or drink. Maybe the occasional marijuana, but watch that too, because that can trigger psychosis, I've learned. So, but it can help medically with some people, so I do support that.
Yeah.
But, also, stay away from things that are going to trigger anger. Whether that be family members, whether that be something simple like, I don't know, something, anything that makes you mad. The dog barking, for example. Don't snap, like, instead of snapping, maybe I always suggest working out is a good outlet. Going for a walk, maybe, knocking out some push-ups, sit-ups, meditation. There's another outlet to go to other than anger. Know your reality. That's another big one, is know your reality. Know where you're at. Know what you need to survive in your life, whether that be a job, whether that be food, whether that be animals, whether that be, calling that person you need to call. The simplest things.
That's some good advice, yeah. And you told me once too, making sure you take your prescriptions as prescribed. Don't be willy-nilly with those.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. I really enjoy.
But if you don't feel like your medication's working for you, I will say, talk to your doctor, talk to your psychiatrist. If you don't like your psychiatrist, get a different one. If they're trying to over-medicate you, then, just know yourself. Know your body. Drink a lot of water, too, is another thing. Because water will help with anything.
Yeah, you've really hit the nail on the head of things that I advocate for, too, with... I have bipolar 1. We got to work closely with our doctors. If you don't like your current doctor, they're not working with you well, you don't vibe well, definitely seek out someone you do vibe well with. Taking your medication prescribed, and try and having a large toolbox of wellness tips, the meditation, the prayer, the going for walks. And I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you do have a drug problem or alcohol problem, being honest about that and getting the help that you need can help with the mental health aspect too. So, Martha, thank you so much for being a part of the very first Uplift podcast. I'm sure this is going to help many people. And we look forward to maybe even doing this again sometime. Would you be interested in another
Sure.
podcast? Great. All right, everybody.
Have a wonderful day, guys.
have
God
a-
bless.
God bless. Stay uplifted.